Good evening, everyone. System Chalk here with the 52nd episode of Cultist Simulator the Dancer DLC. And we've been kind of quite comfortable with our position right now. We're worried about affliction, but really I just want to see whether or not the performance at the Gaiety is going to give me a course of the heart. If it doesn't, then we'll just pay up for the medicine and we'll carry on. We are also moving our location, so this will get rid of some notoriety. That notoriety came from betraying some hired help to sacrifice them to the spider's door. The light, the dark. Alright, so that's good for the upgrades that we're going to be doing, but not very helpful for my health. Oh, I should have read the text, my apologies. Okay, so let's go back to the Gaiety one more time. I don't have any commissions to do, and in this case, well, I actually even with an extra, I'm going to be able to do something with. I may still potentially get the course of the heart, so we'll run out the clock on the affliction and see what we can do. Aha, there it is. Is that it? So the other thing that's nice, avoiding going to the Ecdysis Club and such, I don't need to worry about the mystique. Now, turning in the commissions is going to change that, but all right. No address is really ever permanent. Like our bodies, we leave them all in the end. But for now, this is home. So it's an abandoned headquarters. Forget it. JN. And rooms behind a bookshop. The lesser elements of Miss Moreland's stock yet remain. Over time, strangers drift in with books to sell, and sometimes we indulge them. So this has got the Aspect Library, a collection of minor volumes, partial copies, and ephemera that may help with research. It's a location? Locations. Everything must be somewhere, and this is here. And headquarters for conversation and convocation. It also still has a cupboard. Well, I guess it doesn't say that it's a cupboard, but one way or the other we can imprison them in the bookshop. So, traditionally I've been using the Callagine and the Percussigant for exploration, but we do have an unresolved ambiguity to put in the list. So, the Rending Mountains, it has been said, tear the flesh of history. It has generally only been said by people like Christopher Olopoli, but still, they are a good region to find the places that daylight history does not recognize. So that's going to mean 60 seconds at the not a full 60 seconds, because we talked to Dr. Redeem. Oh. Jennings, then? The Good Count's fraternity in Europe is seeking particular research. Again, we don't want to extend the investigation into us, so we're not going to be turning anything in. Could I be if it could be not this? And here's what he needs, an edge commission, so we'll try and follow up on that as soon as we can. Now we will use the Percussigant and the Callagine. Funny thing is, the Callagine's about as old as it was when I went to replace it, but that's, just a function of the choices that I made. I wouldn't have done things differently, so I have to live with the consequences. Okay, 9 seconds, so tonight I sense an opportunity. Tonight I could attract attention if I cease to hold back, if I commit myself more fully. Tonight they'll notice that. Incidentally, one curiosity that's brought up by the dance, if I recall correctly, it doesn't have any moth aspect on its own. And so what's interesting for me is that there is the possibility of generating moth events even when you only use 2 health. That is actually one of these cases where I would say it's this may be an indication that my understanding of using high-level lore over and over again using high-level lore increases the chance, so that there's basically a higher chance of generating a glimmering or a restlessness from using the Centipede Testament as opposed to the Barber's Warning. But if that's true, then no moth should mean that the contract from at the Gaiety will provoke it'll provoke nothing or a course of the heart, Whereas if I use the restlessness or I use the passion, then there's the possibility of the moth event. Either way, though, it's it's a curiosity. It's not something I'm gonna spend a long time focusing on. But we haven't generated a Chorus of the Heart. We're really at the final hour here, so we will pay for medicine. Medicine is dark and bitter as tar. It would be easy to suspect I'm being poisoned. And let's get that edge commission done as well. This may be useful for a commission. Once the investigation is done, then we can start pursuing some other activities, namely turning in the commissions. Right, I've increased my knowledge of the secret histories behind the one we know. So we may actually just be able to use the erudition and the glimmering on their own for this one, but we'll see how it turns out. History is less certain than we are taught. I can learn from the study of its blurred edges. I'm safe for now. My adversary has not enough evidence to bring a case against me, and they found no new clues. This place merits closer investigation. The Mausoleum of Wolves. I think I'll just read the text for this when we're ready to head out there, but I do have another unresolved ambiguity, so we'll hunt for treasures in the Rending Mountains again. The Rending Mountains, it has been said, tear the flesh of history. It has generally only been said by people like Christopher Olopoli, but still they are a good region to find the places that daylight history does not recognize. And nothing my words cease like sand in a glass. So again, we will talk with the Caligine and the Percuss. Actually, sorry, I was going to turn in commissions. That's fine. We can send the summons out on an expedition to preserve them. Tonight, wisdom is a country, and these are its maps. So again, this glimmering's probably going to be gone, but we can use the erudition and glimmering here in this work. Sacrum grows close and stale. Time to get up. So one other consideration that I could make right now is bypassing the spider's door and instead focusing on the peacock door. Now, I would like a little bit more flexibility with the talk verb than I currently have, but I think in this case, there's still a little bit more I can get from the stag door, so let's start with that, but I do want to open the possibility of going to the peacock's door instead. So, the stag door is the Adept's Gate. To pass it is to be initiated into the first true mystery of the House of the Sun. The head Gearby weeps to see me enter where it cannot, but it must let me pass. The scarred valves of the door grind open. And I finished the manuscript. So lots of things to turn in. That's going to generate a lot of mystique, but we can handle mystique. What I can't handle, though, is being late to the gaiety, so... The stage awaits, hot and clean and bare and bright. If I move the moves and step the steps and do what is required, they'll pay me. Okay, so another season of sickness coming up. Hopefully we won't need to pay for the medicine this time, but we'll see. The wolf despair prowls elsewhere. No dread empowers this despair. It's over for now. And we'll use this erudition before we lose it. So this is a puzzle with missing pieces. I might find those pieces in odd corners of scholarship. We are also going to need to deal with a restlessness, but I think we should be... We might be a bit late in terms of the... the restlessness. So maybe I'll just go back to the gaiety. Hunter's Pits. Okay. I think I will do at least one more unresolved ambiguity here. The Rending Mountains, it has been said, tear the flesh of history. It has generally only been said by people like Christopher Olopoli, but still, they are a good region to find the places that daylight history does not recognize. Which means we're talking with the Caligine and the Percuss again one last time. Aha, there it is. Is that it? Okay, 8.1. Ugh. It's ugly, but I'm gonna try. I'm no further along my path of change. In the movements of the secret forums, I must find my lesson. Okay, and you know what? Oh, no, this does work. Okay, cool. Tonight they'll notice that. I felt other eyes upon me. Afterwards, I received a gift from an admirer. Too gaudy for my taste, but I can sell it on the second-hand market. And we've got the light, the dark. So that is yet another glimmering that I can employ for occult purposes. Lucky me. So I think I said I was going to go back to the Gaiety for health. So the stage awaits, hot and clean and bare and bright. If I move the moves and step the steps and do what is required, they'll pay me. And let's try the Painted River. That's exactly what we were looking for. There is a great chamber in the manses through which a painted river flows. The vagabond, it is claimed, painted it from memory in the years before she left the house. Certainly, there are histories concealed in its design. I traced them with my hand last night. There were fragments of aquamarine paint beneath my nails, flecks of gold leaf when I was done. So here, I'm going to go beyond the spider's door. In my dreams, I know the path through the silken stands to the spider's door. If I slake its thirst by spilling fresh blood before I sleep, it will open to me. The light of the divided sun penetrates my dream, but not enough to thaw the long-dead frost blossoms of the glass garden. Each step I take crushes another plant to powder. This is the way the brighter hours once came, but now it's silent here in the clouds. The sundial's shadow passes. I must have funds to live, or I will become ill. So, season of silence coming by, and an intuition challenge. So we do have enough glimmering around to work with this. Although we'll get some in 11 seconds anyway. This is a puzzle with missing pieces. I might find those pieces in odd corners of scholarship. So we'll do this with the Forbidden Epic one more time. But it's definitely time for us to start investigating vaults in the Rending Mountains. What could I be if I could be not this? Now, you'd think that we would need to study reason for the erudition, but again, because we have a library in our headquarters, we're sort of freed from that. The Eye of Ikirmawi. Alright, so we need to wait 5 seconds for our summons, but we are ready to start going on expeditions again. This does mean that we'll be generating some notoriety, so there are going to be some demands on my heart followers. But I can live with that. Excuse me. The course of the heart. Whenever the principle of the heart is implicated, I may gain vitality. May gain vitality. Okay, so let's go to the Mausoleum of Wolves first. This chilly monument was built long before Rome fell. Stone wolves watched the door. A chamber within was carved from rock to await fragments of the sun at its prophesied funeral procession. That procession never came, but still the dead are drawn here. So of course this is a bit of a hint. We may want to be bringing some winter followers in, but in order to preserve my summons, I always bring the Percussagant and Callagine at the start. Did the sun ever come here when its death was pronounced? Perhaps that pronouncement was premature. In any case, if we usurp its progress, we'll have to face avalanches, furious ghosts, and a door sealed by adept architects. Let's be ready. So lots of forged things that we can work with, but let's see how everything turns out. Now, to be honest, it's not the smartest thing in the world when you know that you're going to be generating some notoriety to produce a bunch of mystique, but I do want to keep the commissions coming. So I will turn in Count Janning's commission on Edge. I have what was requested. Might have sensed an opportunity. Tonight I could attract attention if I cease to hold back, if I commit myself more fully. I'm a listen package of flesh and blood. Tonight they'll notice that. Now, we've already got the Course of the Heart, so I didn't exactly need to try and provoke more heart, but still, it's nice to have. I received the currency of the secret world, and my patron has let tantalizing information slip. So, there's some extra erudition. Turns out we didn't need to worry about having that library anyway. I have what the doctor requested. I felt other eyes upon me. Afterwards, I received a gift from an admirer. Too gaudy for my tastes, but I can sell it in the second-hand market. Again, not much else for us to do right now. So I'm going to head back to the Gaiety yet again. The stage awaits, hot and clean and bare and bright. If I move the moves and step the steps and do what is required, they'll pay me. Erudition and a silver Spintrea. And then finally Madame Bichet and her forge commission. The Peacock Door, proud and shining amethyst, its glow tinting the snow-pale shapes of the glass garden. This is the highest point where mortals may penetrate the mansis. No crack mars its surface. This is not a door that opens, although it is said it may bleed light. Okay, so we definitely have what we need to go through the Peacock Door. So, in my dreams I found the way to the Peacock's Door, sometimes called the Gate of Eyes or Pride's Dismay. In my dreams, I know the path through the glass garden to the Peacock's Door, the most admirable of doors, the door which shines like a mirror. Perhaps, with the right resources, I can pass it. And for the ascent, the Peacock's Door does not open exactly. So I just use lantern painting, right? No. In this case, this is an interesting one because when you have the aspect, this isn't the only time that you've run into it, but you have aspect tool, a sword does not kill. It is an instrument in the hand of the killer, Seneca the Younger. So, basically, it's very common when trying to solve problems, solve puzzles in this game, that you just simply need to match an aspect to the slot. But of course, as we've seen earlier, and is definitely the case for the Peacock Door, not anything will go. So the good first example of this would be I suspect it's the Stag Doors riddle. There may be other cases that people run into first, but I think the Stag Doors riddle is the one where not just any lore is going to do. And it's probably the Stag Doors riddle is the one where it's really reinforcing this idea that you need to read the text in order to be able to get the most out of the game. Because if you read the text, there's some irony in me saying it on this playthrough where I completely blanked on the Delightful Sacrament for so long. But generally, if you read the text, the answer is obvious. And if you don't read the text, you're reduced to trying every piece of lore that you can until you either grow frustrated enough you give up on the game, or you get the right one, and then you just kind of move on. The Peacock's Door is a bit different in the sense that we'll read the text that we've got here. So we've got the Peacock's Door. In my dreams, I found the way to the Peacock's Door, sometimes called the Gate of Eyes or Pride's Dismay. We have, in my dreams, I know the path through the glass garden to the Peacock's Door, the most admirable of doors, the door which shines like a mirror. Perhaps with the right resources, I can pass it. There is a reference to mirror, but maybe not one that says this is the right resource. And then a wildering mirror, a multiplicity of vistas, a bewilderment of views, gaze upon me and rejoice in the dissolution of your senses. So aspect lantern, aspect mirror, crack, light skin, and light will bleed. That's definitely a hint. Then auctionable and tool. But definitely this is one where you're actually needing to try and put together some pieces of information that you've gotten from more than one place. And to a certain degree you're almost waiting on memory, because we talked about bleeding light, but that's not present in this text. That's present earlier on. And if you don't remember it, as is true for a lot of lore and a lot of texts, you're in for a little bit of frustration, I think. In any case, we know that you use the mirror. Obviously, that's not the only tool, but it's the only tool that we have available to us right now. So the Peacock's Door reflects the mirror I hold in my sleep, and the mirror reflects the Peacock's Door. Already a sensuous shiver ripples its surface. It aches for fracture, and when it finds that satisfaction, I will enter. Alright, another season of ambitions, which is going to have some implications for my sanity, but we should be able to work through it all. And I have received the currency of the secret world, and my patron has let tantalizing information slip. So there's going to be a little bit of a contest for my talk verb's attention for the next little while. We're 97 seconds away from being able to talk with Jannings, but essentially I'm going to need to repair the mirror with my forge followers, but I'm also going to want to be getting rid of reputation. So for starters, let's work on the reputation. So we'll bring in Clovette. Significant conversations in a smoky meeting room. What do I need from my follower? Talk about the Wildwood Club. Not everyone is sympathetic to our aims, but if we have problems with our reputation, our disciple can probably smooth them over. And we've got our challenges. So our expedition plans for the next challenge. It'll consume funds. I could add funds now, or I could send another follower. So we have the high passes, bleak and gray-green slopes, lift the eye to distant snow-edged sky-straining peaks. It'll be a devil of a job to find anything in here. Forge will sustain us, winter will shield us. Now, I suppose there's two arguments here, which is I can bring in the winter followers for the high passes because we need them anyway, or I can say we need another forge follower because they're plentiful. I'm actually gonna roll the dice. I'm gonna add Eau Claire and Violet and see if we can get past the high passes and the dead. And then of course we need to worry about the warded door, which is forge or knock. We'll see how it all turns out. It's been a while since I've had a nice long silence like this. It's I almost don't know what to do with myself. Alright, tonight I sense an opportunity. Tonight I could attract attention. If I cease to hold back, if I commit myself more fully. Tonight they'll notice that. So the Madrigard is strong in winter. Probably she will keep us from avalanches. And we call upon the Madrigard who cannot be unbalanced. The hour called the Madrigard is at home in the cold. She will almost certainly keep us from falling. So I've increased my knowledge of the secret histories behind the one we know. So, we still have forbidden epics we can throw in here, so history is less certain than we are taught. I can learn from the study of its blurred edges. We have lots of erudition, but really it's about preserving this, or not preserving, but using this glimmering before it vanishes. I felt all their eyes upon me. Afterwards I received a gift from an admirer. Too gaudy for my taste, but I can sell it in the second-hand market. And we're actually running out of health, but... Stage awaits hot and clean and bare and bright. If I move the moves and step the steps and do what is required, they'll pay me. There we go. Okay, well, I can be a bit of a wimp and go for the unresolved ambiguity. There is something appealing about that, because it is a bird in the hand. But, excuse me, the red shirts at the Worm Museum do offer me greater rewards. I guess in this case here, I'm going to take the unresolved ambiguity because it does have an immediate use. I think in future I probably want to be a little bit more ambitious. Last night I opened the peacock door, and beyond it, in the bright spaces of the house, I met a pilgrim adept. I am almost ready, they said, to pass the summit of the house to prepare for the final ascent. Perhaps you'll join me. I will need allies to fight for my place. Here is a story to help you rise. Okay. So we can't go back through the peacock door because there's the cracked Wildering mirror. A deep crack runs across the shimmering metal. A forge-aspected follower could repair it with sufficient resources, or I could use up what power remains in it. So here we'll take the affliction and the vitality. All I need now is time. Okay, Season of Vision's coming up, so I want to be a little mindful of any fascination I potentially generate, but we should be fine. Frostguard and Shivering, we've made it through the mountains. So the first thing I'll do is add some funds, because we do have 3 challenges ahead of us, and we will be safe from the... Well, not safe, but we should be able to get past the undead. Tonight I sense an opportunity. Tonight I could attract attention if I cease to hold back, if I commit myself more fully. Tonight they'll notice that. I'm going to have quite a bit ahead of me. So for the talk verb, not only do we have the forge follower that's going to want to use it, but we're actually getting our commissions available soon as well. So for starters, let's add the funds. Fretful dead are coming up. Not all dead rest easy. These ones dislike our intrusion. We can prevail against them with edge, or they may obey one who comes in the name of winter. And we got heart from Earnest speech is affable conversation. Optimism is the spice which saves. So 5.9 seconds for Count Jannings. I think I'm willing to wait for that. And I felt all their eyes upon me. Afterwards I received a gift from an admirer. Too gaudy for my tastes, but I can sell it in the second-hand market. So there might be some appeal in waiting for the commission, but I am actually going to want to deal with the restlessness. So let's start with the contract of the gaiety. The stage awaits, hot and clean and bare and bright. If I move the moves and step the steps and do what is required, they'll pay me. And this is a puzzle with missing pieces. I might find those pieces in odd corners of scholarship. Oh, 38 seconds left on this glimmering, so we are going to be without. That's my bad for not timing it out properly, but we just need to study a passion, so it's not it's a little bit of lost time, but it's definitely not a deal breaker. Right. Good Count's fraternity in Europe is seeking particular research. I'm no further along my path of change, and the movements of the secret forms I must find in my lesson. Here's what he needs, a heart commission. I think we can accommodate that. I forgot to put my silver spin tray in my collection. Okay, so we should have Dr. Adim available now. The doctor would like help with his research. The sick room grows close and stale. Time to get up. So that's very welcome. Like I said, we've been struggling a little bit to get the health that we need. And we don't have the Wildering Mirror back, so let's go to the Stag Door. A little bit less... there's a little bit less that I need from this location right now, but it's my best option. So the Stag Door is the Adept's Gate. To pass it is to be initiated into the first true mystery of the House of the Sun. The head Gearby weeps to see me enter where it cannot, but it must let me pass. The scarred valves of the door grind open. Okay, secret histories for Adim when the time comes, and now we'll have a chat with Madame Bichet about what she would like. She's seeking pieces for the notorious Carisham Review. Definitely should have... I can't remember if I added the funds or not. I think I did. I'm going to be bold and add a knock follower. Call upon the ivory dove who knows the names of all the dead. The dead circle the edge of our vision like frayed dreams. The very air around us is chill with winter's shadow. They must recognize that. And my own heart pumps more strongly today. So if we get sick again, we've got an insurance policy, but probably not going to come up. Now, with a Season of Suspicion coming up, I'm slightly inclined towards using my heart followers before I try and repair the mirror, because we're right at the edge of whether or not the Weary Detective is going to cause us problems. Okay, so we got a forge commission from Madame Bichet. So I think with that in mind, let's have a chat with Clovette. Significant conversations in a smoky meeting room. What do I need from my follower? Not everyone is sympathetic to our aims, but if we have problems with our reputation, our disciple can probably smooth them over. So the idea here is that one of the Mystique dies, and then the second one gets picked up by the Weary Detective, but the Weary Detective finishes their investigation before it becomes before the notoriety emerges. We'll see whether or not it works. But tonight I sense an opportunity. Tonight I could attract attention. If I cease to hold back, if I commit myself more fully. Tonight they'll notice that. So again, this vitality is an insurance policy. We've more or less cleared all of the negatives that we, other than reputation, we've more or less cleared everything that's a potential threat to us. But I would have liked to have a glimmering. Alright, I felt all their eyes upon me. Afterwards I received a gift from an admirer. Too gaudy for my tastes, but I can sell it on the second-hand market. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to do the Grail Commission. Oh, sorry, we don't have a Grail Commission. We have a Heart Commission. Well, Heart, I guess of the three, Heart's probably the most likely to have Passion, but then it's going to be a simple one, so I'm only going to have one. Yeah, so it's Reason. Well, we can just double check, but I think all of these are going to wind up being Reason. I know some of them you can get a mix of Reason and Passion. I was hoping that I would get one which has a Passion, because of course then I would be able to put a Passion in that has a chance of triggering a glimmering event, and so we may be able to recover this study. But it's not, it's not a huge deal. It's just nice to have. May be useful for a commission. I don't know why I went back to the heart, but I guess I'm committed to my original choice. Alright, so again, we don't have the glimmering. Not much hope of seeing one pop up. Yeah, I guess our dance with the restlessness would have been the way we would have made that happen. The painted river runs from the great chamber in near the white door, far through the mansus, to its far edge, where it enters a painted delta of far cloud. I voyaged half its length last night, with a stern-faced captain beneath a rust-red sail. As the clouds rose before us, the sailors raised a yearning shanty and close-hauled the sails to best use the painted wind. And all the while the captain and I discoursed of the secrets of the House of the Sun. Okay, so I think we'll just head back to the stag door. There's not a whole lot that we really need from here, but as I've said a couple of times, I really don't like leaving verbs empty if I have things that I can do. So we'll toss a reason in there. And I kind of think that's it. I would have liked to have closed off a few activities, but I think that's going to be it for us tonight. Basically, so there's going to be the expedition. Well, okay, we've got the wary dead. The dead draw back. Their almost faces flat and watchful. They will not trouble us. So I am going to roll over the 2 seconds so that we can add Neville. Okay. Our expedition plans for the next challenge. It'll consume funds. I can add funds now, or I can send another follower. So this, I was hoping that it wouldn't give me the warning about not enough money. So, oh, what am I doing? I realize that some people try to use Neville to pay to enter the Ecdysis Club, but you can't use payment as a replacement for Neville the same way you can't use Neville as currency. Yeah, I think that's going to be it for us tonight. I know that'll mean there's a few other tasks that need to be finished when we start next week, but it's all staggered, so that was going to happen one way or the other. But generally what our plans are going to be, finish the first expedition here. If I can sneak in the unresolved ambiguity for another location to check, I will. We may have to wait until we exhaust the locations, I'm not sure. Just it'll depend on what's available in the talk verb. When I can, I would like to try and get that Wildering Mirror repaired sooner rather than later, so that I can I can go back to the Peacock store, which is more likely to get me the sorts of lore that I need. And then what else? I suppose we will be studying a passion for some extra glimmering. But all of these things I think are fairly obvious based on the verbs, so even though it's going to be a little while between now and recording the next episode, I should hopefully remember all of that. And if nothing else, me stumbling like an idiot through things that I really should know better is one of these things that the YouTubes calls content. So I hear people like that content thing. On that note, thank you very much for watching, and I will take a minute and just say thank you very much for the likes and the comments. It's one of these things where, I have wanted to pull back from the asks, but the nice thing about comments are that I can reply to them. But of course, likes are something that's sort of done anonymously, and there are definitely, either there happens to be a nice little mix of or a mix of people that happens to be like an exact identical number on every video. But there are obviously some of you who are basically liking every video or close to it. And it's one of these things where, because it's not a comment where I can't directly sort of respond, it's one of those things that can seem like it's being taken for granted. And so, like I said, I want to avoid too many requests or begging or just calls to action, if I want to use the marketing terms. But there is always time for gratitude, and I wanted to take a minute there and say, in addition to thank you for watching, if you're here at this point, it means you watched the whole video. But also for those of you who've been very dedicated in terms of helping, push some of the other engagement measures. I do want to take a minute and acknowledge that. Thank you very much, and I hope that you can take that into your weekend as an attaboy, attagirl, attaperson. And of course, for those of you who just are enjoying the videos, I hope you have a wonderful weekend as well. We'll see you all Monday for another episode of Cultist Simulator. Take care, and until then.